So we're going to learn how to make biscuits and gravy. You get the biscuits from the store, and it's going to be in one of these, right? Just like old school. And you pop them out and put them on the thing and heat the oven up to whatever it says. And then you get busy making the gravy. So we found this here plant-based sausage that we've never tried yet. So this is going to be like an experiment. So the first thing we're going to do is start that up. And you put a pan on like medium heat. And then you get this going in there. Oh, look. It kind of looks like sausage, maybe. Hopefully it's as good as the Impossible Meat things, which if you haven't tried are pretty good for what they are. This here sausage, and sometimes it's very, very lean. There's not a lot of like fat stuff to keep it from sticking, as you can see, but I did have this fancy pan on just a little too hot. So you can put in a little bit of the plant-based butter that you buy, the Earth Balance. It's all plant-based, it's good stuff. And you put it in there and kind of helps it from not sticking. But what you want to do is to brown this up nicely so it gets all crumbly and it looks like sausage and sausage gravy. So you got to kind of mess around with it and bust it up and do all these things. And then we'll go from there. Cook the veggie stuff. I had to clean the pan out because it was such a disaster, because these pans, even though they're pricey, stink most of the time. So now with a clean pan you take this out and you go back to your plant-based butter and you put in, oh, I don't know, 3 or 4 tablespoons of butter. I would say 3, 4, which is most. 4 tablespoons of butter, and then you let that melt down. And get your whisk at the ready. And then you'll have to get some flour to get ready to put in there. Butter all melted in there. Then you add your flour. This is medium heat still. So you put in a tablespoon and let it be all heapy like that.
I can see. Okay.
You put in maybe 2 all heaped up like that. And once you get that in, then you start whisking it around. And initially you're going to think, oh dear, I put way too much flour in. But you just got to be patient. You got to whisk it around and get all the flour off the sides and then look at it. Now if it looks like that, it's pretty close. You want it to look like, I don't know, whatever that looks like. I don't know what to call it. So it looks like that. So you let it just do this for maybe 4 minutes, 3-4 minutes. And because you want to get the floury taste out of it, and letting it live around, let it swish around in here. I'm going to put a little more butter in there. You want it to be, you don't want it to be real loose, but you don't want it to be all clumpy either. So I'll put a little more butter in there. So you want it to kind of look like that. This would be the point that if you're going to put like real fancy spices in it to make it all fancy, you'd put them in now. But I just use salt and pepper. There's no reason for fanciness. Yeah, this is, whoa. Okay, so now when it looks like that, you've swished it around for about 3-4 minutes. Get your stinking flour out of the way. So now when you get it to look like this, now comes the fun part. You get the milk, and in this case it's plant-based oat milk. And you pour it in. You pour in like some. I mean, there's no measuring the gravy. That's why you just got to do it a couple times and kind of get an idea. But if you start to whisk it around, once you put it in, try to get all those little floury things in there. And it's good to use a whisk because you don't want it lumpy. See, then it magically starts to thicken up. See? So now it's getting thicker. It's getting thicker. It's getting thicker, and you kind of spin it around until it all starts to look the same, because you can see there's real watery looking parts and then there's thicker parts, and now it's all kind of looking the same. So now we put a little more milk in because that's too thick for gravy. So put some more milk in until you get about that much. The only thing you want to be careful of is when you start doing this, you don't want to get to the point where you put too much milk in, because it's hard to thicken it. It's always easy to thin it out if you need to. Get back over here. So you whisk it around. Remember, if you wanted to do this and didn't want to go the vegan route and wanted to make it like old school normal, you would just use regular sausage, and you would use regular butter, and you would then use regular milk for it to be normal. So now you see where it's looking more gravy-like, right? But you got to remember, the longer it warms up and gets hot, it's going to get thicker. So you want to put a little more in. Stir it in. I guess. So now you see it's looking more like gravy. It's got that consistency. And I think I'm going to put a little more milk in there, just so it doesn't get too thick by the time we eat it.
Yep, I've done it every Sunday. So from what I understand.
So when it gets to this point, when you got the milk in there and you think you're at the spot where it's cool, where you think it's because you want it to look a little tiny bit loose. Does that make sense? I just sound like Bill Brawley. You want it to be a little loose because, like I said, when it cooks through, it'll get a little bit thicker. So this is the point where you want to put a little salt in there. Little salt. Little black pepper. Put the pepper in there. Stir all that wonderfulness in there. And then now it's looking like gravy, right? Then you get to the point where you put this stuff back in there. You swap back to your other tool. Put the sausage in there. Kind of get that all mixed in there. In the meantime, your biscuits are in the oven. And I mean, that's pretty much it. See, it looks like gravy. The biscuits are in the oven. I'm going to make Mom's gravy with no meat in it here now. So we will give you a report in a minute on how delicious it is. It's pretty good.
This is interesting.
Right?
It doesn't smell bad. I don't think it smells like booze.